Everybody, shall we call to order? Thank you so much for coming out today for our half-day retreat. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 12:18. Please make sure you get some food, because I'm sure Misha and Stephanie don't want to take any back, ideally. So fill up the plate. I believe we're going to start with a roll call attendance.
John Barber?
Here.
Thank you. Hillary Brooks reported absent. Jackson Kane?
Here.
Thank you. Nancy Carter? Here. Thank you. George Childress reported absent. John Eldridge?
I was his ride, but he still a little off there. He lives way off of 66. John was willing to be here, we just couldn't work out the logistics.
Okay, thank you. Karen Lowe? Here. Thank you. Aquila Maxwell? Here. Thank you. Christopher Matheson reported absent. Kanya Mall? Present. Thank you. Paul Robertson reported absent. Monica Shimon-Orr? Thank you. Joel Simmons?
Here,
Thank you. Stacy Spangler? Here. Thank you. Jessica Villanueva? Here. Thank you. Nancy Welch reported absent. And Lauren Ziegler? Here. Thank you. And we do have a quorum.
Great. And at this time, in your email, and I don't know if we gave them hard copies of January's minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got copies of January's minutes. And so at this time, if someone would like to make a motion that we adopt those minutes.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the minutes.
I will second the motion.
Excellent. Anybody opposed? Okay, that carries. The minutes are approved. And now, anything else before we move on to member advocacy? All right, so at this time we're going to move on to member advocacy with...
Well, sorry.
Yes, no?
This is Cook. I think Ms. Carter was absent at the January meeting.
Carter was, I thought Ziegler said that she seconded
It
it.
was Ziegler that said she thought.
Oh my
No,
gosh,
Lauren
Nancy,
said-
your voice sounded just
Yeah,
like
is it?
Lauren.
She threw her voice.
Wow, never mind. Thank you.
All right, good, I'll snuff it out.
All right, so let's move on to member advocacy with Monica Shimon-Orr.
Hello, everybody. All right. So now I hope, I can make it under 5 minutes, but we'll see. Anyway, so my presentation is related to deaf-blind communication, and it's called Pro-Tactile, ASL. And what that is a language of touch, and it's used by deaf and blind people. And they use different channels on our bodies, like our back, arms, face, hands, front of your legs, your knees. So this is just a kind of communication. It started back in '07 in Washington State by 3 deaf and blind people who already knew the language. One of them, they invented the language of pro-tactile. The other one was Jackie. She went to Gallaudet for many years, and the 3 of them, they worked together, and they realized, hey, we need to figure out a way to communicate better and faster, because the communication without the pro-tactile is very, very limited with visual information. So for example, if he was deaf and blind and I'm interpreting for him, I'll be directly interpreting, but I'm not letting him know how many people are here, how big is the room. He has no idea. And he has no idea who's sitting right next to me, who's sitting there, a woman, a man, whether or not any of you are texting or eating. If I'm not providing that information, that means I'm not using pro-tactile. So if I'm using pro-tactile, so the way that I do that is I would interpret, put my hands on his, and then I have another person behind him, just kind of like you see on the screen up there. So this is the only person who is doing the tactile on the back. And it starts with your eyes, the visual part of the room. You'll set up the room. I don't have eyes on the back.
I see him coming into the room. I let this person know by moving, tapping the movement.
Wow.
And the tables are set up. I let him know by setting up the tables on his back. So this is what that guy is doing.
So Pro Tactile, it focuses on touch. Deaf blind, they need that touch. Their fingers to open up the world of communication. Without touch or feeling, they can't communicate as much. ASL is mostly visual. So when you put those two together, then you have a complete language. When you have the second person, the second interpreter behind them, it just adds so much information for the person. So now with deaf blind people, they got their first hand language. It's kind of their experience is equal to yours when it comes to communication because it's unlimited information. So we have 3 different scenarios. The first one is a one-on-one. And how do you communicate one-on-one? So that means I have to sit very close to them right in front. So it doesn't matter, man, woman, whatever. This is the deaf blind. That means I must be right up against them. You can't really sit up there, but they're sitting very, very close, knee to knee. I don't know if you can see our knees right here. And when I'm seated very close, I can't lean in like this, your back's gonna hurt and all that. So we need to be sitting very, very close to one another. So yeah, that's how it works. That's one way. When I'm sitting right next to her, if she's signing, she can't sign, but I know that.
I can throw you.
But if she was signing and she was deaf and blind, she would be signing. I'm just looking, laughing, smiling. How do I let them know, hey, I'm laughing? Hey, how do I let them know, hey, I'm smiling? So you would be on their leg, you would make the gesture to their leg, and so now they understand, oh, hey, this person's laughing. If you didn't understand, you would make a question mark on their knee. And they'll say, oh, okay, and they'll repeat what they're trying to say. Another thing, if you're unhappy, I could draw the frowny face, on their leg. Frowny face. Laughing. That's the sign for laughing. So you'd be scratching on their leg. Scratch, scratch, scratch. All right, the second scenario includes 3 or more deaf-blind people. All of them deaf and blind. I can't see it up there, but so that's 3 people communicating with one another. So for example, if all 3 of us were communicating, we all would have touch. All of our legs would be close to one another, touching one another. Very, very close. So maybe you won't be comfortable with it, but this is how the deaf and blind need to communicate. They have to be very, very close and have that touch. Laughing, smiling, everything. You're just letting everybody know, or you're communicating everything that's happening in the room. Third is probably the most common style of protactile. So like here, I'll show you very briefly. When a deaf blind person goes to stand on the stage and has a presentation or anything, it's like, hey, they can't see the crowd, so what do? They have one pro-tactile person behind them looking out at the crowd and letting them know what the crowd is doing, if people are sleepy on their phones, that if they're looking at each other, talking, or they're leaving, walking out of the room, coming back in, whatever. The deaf blind person, they know. So I'll show you a little brief video. I hope that was 5 minutes. It might have been a little more. I don't know. Greg. Okay, so right now the deaf blind person, there's two deaf blind people. They're leading him to the stage. Give them a minute, you'll see how they get set up. So there's two pro-tactile interpreters behind each person. And they're letting them know what the crowd is saying, what they're doing, how they're reacting. So you see that touch on the elbow right there? So that means, hey, I understand. Watch how the people behind the deaf blind, they're just looking out, scanning that audience. They're looking out and informing them everything that's going on, what the audience is doing, what they look like, everything. All right, well, that's pretty much it. But the link for that's in the email. I think Misha sent it all out. But there's several links on there for you guys to watch and read up a little bit. But I want to, get more deaf and blind people. I know you've experienced, Jessica, you've experienced some of the deaf, blind people, whatever. But if you see somebody's deaf and blind, approach them. Don't just leave them alone, because oftentimes at social events, the deaf and blind are just left out, Look at some of my notes, make sure I got everything. Oh, there's a word that deaf and blind people are very familiar with. It's called distanism. 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 Distantism. And it's kind of like sexism, just that kind of idea. That's basically the separation of, deaf and blind people, and they're always alone at all times. So we don't want that at all. We want them to be included. We want them to be a part of your world. But that's it. Thank you so much for listening.
So, would a person who, say if an individual were deaf-blind and joining us at this retreat, would I be able to get pro-tactile ASL interpreters? Are they local? I mean, this is fascinating and news to me.
Yeah, you definitely can. Here, the deaf and blind people, they don't use pro-tactile a lot. Just a little bit. I know a couple that do. I was thinking about bringing him today, but I wasn't really sure how it would all work out.
Simmons?
Yeah, when I went back to school, I had a classmate, and he was a DR counselor in Florida, and he was in the deaf-blind community. And I watched him. He didn't have the extra people, but he would speak with somebody who was deaf-blind inside their hand. And it was, I don't know, I couldn't wrap my mind around how you teach somebody that's been deaf and blind all their life, and he didn't have the extra interpreters. He was just inside their hand and they could communicate. I was fascinated at that. And then something that really puts the community context to me is a guy, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me bringing him up because he's been around. I think you know Dennis Clark.
Yes.
Dennis Clark injured his spine, became a paraplegic with a hang gliding accident. But he'll tell you straight up, he never thought he had a disability until his hearing was gone. He never considered being a paraplegic even a disability, but when he lost his hearing, that was more devastating than not being able to walk. So I think a lot of times we have trouble getting context, and to me, that speaks volumes.
Yes.
This is Spangler. I've got two questions, actually. One is, what would be the proper way to introduce yourself to a deaf-blind person? Like, I'm assuming you don't just walk up and start touching them everywhere.
Oh, really?
Okay, so how we approach a deaf-blind, okay, you can't see. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, if you ever meet a deaf-blind person like that, it's not even worth the time.
She's giving you the business now.
Yeah, very soft though, you know. And if you don't know sign or anything like that, you can use P2. It's a palm print, like on your hand. Oh, like A, B.
Like you would just
You
spell
can
out
do the
your
letters.
name.
Yes, yes. Yeah, they're very welcoming to communication, any communication. So most deaf-blind are. So.
And then the second part of my question is the tactile sign universal, or do you have to individualize it to the person?
If you meet a deaf-blind person from like Australia, you know, they'll have a different, you know, slang, a different type of sign. You know, French, they'll have a different type of slang, different type of sign. It's just like spoken language.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. This is Sue back. So if you're using the hand with the alphabet, do you face the alphabet towards you or towards them?
It's just all caps letters, capital letters.
Okay, but like if I'm doing A, would I do A from my perspective or would I try to do it from theirs?
Yeah, you stand with that person like side to side.
Oh,
and you
okay.
can
So
do it sideways, and then you can write it the right way up.
That was a good question. I would never thought that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Monica? All right, moving along. Next, we are coming to our member signups. You want to?
I will take that. And before I do, let me remind everybody that when you're speaking, we do not have microphones here, so please speak loudly so everyone can hear you. So I'm going to, in a moment, pass out signups for the livability survey, as well as the member advocacy and information. For the livability survey, once you sign up, please make sure to make a calendar or other reminder for the month that you've signed up to complete a survey yourself. If you're unsure about how to go about completing your first survey and you would like more information on how to do so, or would like to request a member who has already completed theirs to go along with you, please reach out to Kanya Mall prior to the month that you're scheduled. For the member advocacy and information, a reminder will be sent out to you by the first of your month. Please make sure that you send your topic to me no later than the first Monday of the month for inclusion of your topic in the agenda. If you do have anything prepared as far as verbiage, please also send that. For the sign-up sheet, the first column is advocacy and information. The next column has, well, and I put January and February 2024 on here, but I shouldn't have. I've crossed those out. It'll be March 2024 onwards. Please mark out, once you pick what month you want to do that month, so that nobody picks it twice. We only need one person per month for that. And then you also have a place to sign up for your first and second accessibility survey. I'll go ahead and start passing that around.
Keisha, could you just give just a quick synopsis of those, the member advocacy and information? Like what exactly we're looking for there, what kinds of things we're looking for? Maybe this was a great example, but maybe another example or two for some of the folks that haven't been around that long.
Absolutely. So this advocacy and information should not be something that is just an afterthought. It should truly be something that you are passionate about, or that you feel the Codi members really need to know a little bit more about. As far as how to approach it, what Monica did today, what Shimon Orr did today was wonderful. Not only did she tell us about it, she demonstrated, she showed us videos, and of course answered our questions. So I think we all are a lot more knowledgeable on something that we did not know before, and it's also something that she's very passionate about. If you get to your month and you need help, or you're not quite sure where to begin or what to do with it, please just email me or call me and I can help you through that.
But don't wait until the last minute and go, I don't know what to do. So yeah, put some thought into it ahead of time. If you need help, please reach out.
Yes, and the reason I said that a reminder will be sent to you by the first of the month, more often than not, the first of the month will work, but there is a month or two that the second Wednesday of the month would also be, it would start on Tuesday, and so we'd miss that first Monday. The first Monday would actually be 2 days before. So I'm not going to do that to you and send you a reminder a couple of days before. It will be at least a week, if not longer, before your portion of it. But please do make that calendar reminder.
Looks like us procrastinators are always getting picked on.
Do you put the pro in procrastination?
It's a national
He puts the
pastime.
grass in it.
Yeah, the crest. Anything else on those? Good. Okay, so let's move on to Codi resignations and nominations.
All right, this is Zubac. We do have a resignation to report, which was Daniel Alexander on January 29th. His schedule has gotten busy and he does not currently have the time to dedicate to Codi. So he has resigned. Current potential nominations that we are still waiting on documents from include Dr. Kelly Martin of the YMCA, she works here, as well as Cheryl McCormick. Dr. Martin is interested in joining Codi and becoming more active in the disability community, and Ms. McCormick is a former Codi member and is now retired from working at Peninsula and with individuals who live with mental illness. She is also a certified peer support individual. For new member nominations, there are currently 4 seats available on Codi. However, Monica Shimon Orr's second term expires at the end of June, which means we will have a total of 5 seats to fill. Now, of course, we want to make sure all disabilities are represented. We also want to make sure that we have members from certain disability agencies. If you have any nominations to send to me, please do that no later than March 25th of this year so that we can get those out to the membership committee and start sorting through them. Printed forms, printed nomination forms will be available today after the retreat. However, these will need to be made accessible before they're uploaded to the Codi webpage. That's all for me,
Excellent.
for the moment.
One quick question about that. You said there are currently 4 available seats. Does that include the 2 that Martin and McCormick are going to fill, or is it 4 plus those 2?
Well, the thing is, I have not received their nomination forms, nor has membership committee interviewed them, nor voted on bringing them on board. So it's a total of 5, including the resignation of Daniel Alexander, but not including anybody that is potentially nominating themselves.
Right. Any other questions about that? All right, moving along. We're now going to transition to committee and strategic plan group reports.
All right, this is Zubac. I'll go ahead and start this off. We did receive an executive order separation this morning just after 9 a.m. I did print it out. It is here in your packet for everyone. I have not had a chance to look at it in comparison with the other bylaws, nor speak with George Shields in law yet. But as soon as that happens, a poll will be sent out to all bylaws committee members so that we can set a date for bylaws to meet. I should have more information at that point. For membership, they will meet at 2 p.m. on April 3rd to discuss absences, nominations, and upcoming nominee interviews, which is why it's really important to get those nomination forms into me the sooner the later, but no later than March 25th. Livability meets at 3 p.m. on March 6th, and Universal Design will meet at 2 p.m. on March 11th. And transportation is next, and I do have notes on that. Nancy Welch is not here at the moment. Does anybody else want to take reporting on that? I got the notes, you can read it off. And please feel free to shorten it.
Okay. This is back 12. Let me see where I'm at. Transportation met on February 12th, 2024. We spoke about vehicle-free Gay Street. There's currently no updates. Downtown parking study, no updates. May have some information in a few weeks. ECU survey, perceived accessibility to public transit. We had a discussion, and this is where we took the survey. So some of the questions were, how does disability impact your daily travel? What are some features in your environment that help you use public transit? Maxwell stated transit out. What are some of the features in your environment that prevent you from using public transit? Zubac stated lack of sidewalks and the terrain. Next, we spoke on the mobility plan for 2050. It's a long-range plan for all modes of transportation. They have a link, www.knoxmobility.org, spearheaded through the Knoxville Transportation Planning Organization. Public meeting workshops, several coming up. One was, I guess, what day was that on? The 13th. The 12th at Knoxville Station, Community Room for 47. And they're going to have one the next day on the 13th in Blount County. Public feedback is also available online at the website. Survey and an interactive map. Surveys takes approximately 5 minutes to fill out. CAT updates. Proposed changes for the April 8th shakeup. CAT is going to increase service for the pre-COVID service spans. So on Sundays, instead of us ending at 8:15, instead of us ending at 5:15, we'll extend it to 8:15. We also are extending routes to 11:15 p.m. on Route 17, 20, 23, 32, 33, and 42. Route 42 will also be running 30 minutes on the weekdays, and Route 42 is what we call the hospital bus, which services Fort Sanders and UT. And Route 34 has some, is going to extend its time to 10:15. And Route 13 will go back to regular service levels on the weekdays. There'll be adjustment in South Knoxville, Route 41. Departing from downtown, it'll be using the Gay Street Bridge instead of the Henry Street Bridge. Route 45 and 40 will also be using Gay Street Bridge. And then Cat Reimagine will launch in August 2024. We're still doing some small edits and looking at our time points, where we're going to create time points and super stops. What is this one? 6-month check-in.
Oh, that's
okay? Okay, and transportation is done. Any questions? Am I supposed to say that?
If you'd like to.
Okay.
We love answering questions.
Well, hope there's no questions. Joe's looking like he has a question. You good, Joe? Okay.
This is Barbara. What's a super stop?
A super stop is where 2 or 3 routes connect together on a transit route. So we have one at Walmart West, and it's a super stop. If you know where that's at, it's on Broadway and Kirkwood.
Okay. And so usually that has like the bigger shelter and things
Yeah,
like
they
that?
have big shelters and
Great.
This is Cook. I wanted to ask about the is it the February KTA meeting? That's where they vote on these updates, and then they go into effect in April.
Yes, and so this is Maxwell again, yes. The KTA board approves CATs if we make any changes on the routes and fares. And so we have to go to the KTA board to approve some of those route changes on 41 and 45.
I appreciate the whole right turn only stuff out at Mountain Grove.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my neck of the woods, but I could visualize the buses going in there. And just makes it easier for folks to know when the bus is going to be and where, and helps others of us get the heck out the way.
There you go.
This is Zubak with the 6-month check-in. Since our last retreat, committees and strategic plan groups have been meeting every other month. What I'd like to do now is have members kind of discuss how they feel that this has been working for their individual committees and strategic plan groups. And then afterwards, I would like to do a roll call vote and have members either state continuation of every other month or going back to every month, one or the other. I will log that and then get a tally for everyone. So does anybody want to start us off on the discussion of how they think that it's been working doing every other month rather than every month? Good, bad, ugly?
Good.
Good for me.
Yeah, I think that I think on every month, sometimes we just really, I come up with more information, like with universal design. There's really not anything that's changed that's earth-shaking within a 30-day period to it. With it being 60 days, number one, gives us time, if we bring something up, say in January, we can send out the feelers and all. And then for the procrastinators, they can wait till 2 days before March, for the March meeting, and start scrambling to get one thing. I just feel like I wasn't getting enough of universal design as far as what the builders are doing, what the real estate are, to really do 12 meetings a year. That's my opinion.
Okay, so Simmons, let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Do you feel that the amount of progress that has been being made with the every other month is less, more, or the same as when everyone met every month?
I think it's at least equal to it. Again, I think everybody that's in universal kind of gets gets frustrated, but you really feel like the city's codes and restrictions is where the bulk of it's gonna come. We've all agreed that pushing it through the realtors and the builders, that's an end user thing. Until the market demands it, we can't put anything on. So I think, yeah, it gives us time, like when we met with that gentleman at Waterworks, gives us time, all right, we presented them what we thought was important, gives time to get some information back. You know, when we were dealing with Ash or whatever at the Home Builders Association, to me, every month, it wasn't really that productive, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I hate for people just to show up for the purpose of having to show up. I guess we can still talk amongst ourselves, and people do, you know, people are always sending us links to things, and we can take notes of them, and I think every other month covers, in my opinion, as far as universal design. Like transportation, they may have more stuff come up. Nancy's real good about sending out links for that as well. I don't feel like we're getting any more done meeting every month than we are in every other month.
Okay, and Maxwell, I think that you had also spoken in favor of the every other month. Would you like to expound on, from your viewpoint, why you think that's better?
I mean, just personally speaking, this is Maxwell, personally speaking for me, my schedule is crazy. So it works for me personally. I can't speak for everybody else, but yeah, it works for me personally. And to touch back base on what Joe was saying, even in transportation, it's only so much, like we talk about can't reimagine, but it's still ongoing where we're just doing small edits. So every month, just still doing small edits. So it's not a lot of information that would be real gratifying, you know, doing it once a month.
Okay, is there anybody that would like to speak to the opposite side and feels like it should be every month?
I just wanted to add one more thing. I think a good example of that is because I sit on the Knoxville Transit Authority, and we meet every month. We have quite a few meetings that we're not there 3 minutes. Well, I mean, it's not quite. We've had 4 in the last year. We got there and just not that much has changed in 30 days. So with us, at least it's just Zoom. But these are folks, some of them, they work downtown, and, you know, you drive down there, you get parked, you get in there. Not a lot's changed in 30 days. So I think you kind of see that across the board with other organizations. So I don't feel like I don't want anybody to feel guilty, like, well, we didn't meet as many, because I'm seeing it in other organizations as well. With another one that I'm on the board, we only meet every other month, our board. So it's not just us, so don't feel like, well, are we shortchanged, you know, we're not doing our part. And just, there's only so much information, and get together to meet just for meeting, especially the people that have full-time jobs, children, all sorts of stuff. And we got 2 or 3 o'clock meetings in the afternoons. I can see where a lot of people would have difficulties.
Okay, so let me throw this out to everyone, and it seems like the majority are probably going to choose continuing every other month. But for those that may be absent one meeting, it may be, you know, if it's every other month and you're absent for one meeting, that means that you may not have a lot of interaction with that group for a little over 3 months. How does everybody feel about that? Is everyone good? And do you feel like you'd be able to email the chair and get information from them on what all needs to be done? I see Ziegler nodding her head yes. Carter's nodding her head yes, and I'm throwing my pen apparently.
This is good. I think that this is good. Sorry. Not enough caffeine, or maybe too much. I think it's great that you guys have decided to kind of spread the work out, looking when you're meeting and everything. But I just want to remind us that if there is a pressing issue, if something needs you all to get together, have an opinion about it, and to share that by a deadline, we can always call a special meeting too. So just I know we know that, but just a reminder. So I know some people have separation anxiety when they're used to doing something every so often, and then that gets, spread out a little bit. They're afraid they might lose momentum or interest or things like that, but we can always call a special meeting if there's a pressing issue.
Okay, so are there any other comments or discussions to be had before one of these amazing members motions to take a vote and somebody else seconds it? All right, does anybody want to make a motion to take a vote?
Oh, I motion on that.
Thank you, Maxwell.
I motion.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Can I get a second?
This is Spangler, I'll second.
All right. Anybody opposed to taking a vote? All right, motion passes. When I call your name, please say every month or every other month. Barber,
Every other month.
Kane. Oh, I'll come back to him. Carter,
Every other month.
thank you. Lowe,
Every other month.
thank you. Maxwell,
Every other month.
thank you. Maul,
Every other month.
thank you. Shimon Orr,
Every other month.
thank you. Simmons.
Yeah, I've changed my view.
All right, thank you, Simmons. Spangler,
Every other month.
thank you. Villanueva,
Every other month.
thank you. Ziegler,
Every other.
thank you.
I think that's enough to carry.
It is.
Even if 10 votes, we both ruled.
10 out of the 11 members present, so the vote has passed. And committees and strategic plans will continue to be every other month. And with that, I did bring nomination forms that I had updated for every month as well as every other month. So now that we know that, I can hand out the nomination forms and also get it made accessible for the website. Thank you all.
Moving along to the update from Universal Design.
All right, by show of hands, who was not at our Public Works meeting on February 1st? Jessica? Damn, now we gotta give it a, now we gotta give it a.
Simmons, this is Sue-Beth. If you haven't made it there yet, I did print out what I printed out for everybody for that meeting. So you've got that in your little packet to refer them to.
Okay, y'all please, the two ways you make me read that stuff. On the missing middle housing. The gentleman that we met with, frankly, he's an outside representative the city's brought in to give us some views that aren't from our city council people here, but they go around and do it. Yeah, brought up the main things that we've talked about in Universal Design since we've been talking about it, where the big housing boom came through and everything was selling for, your $125,000 to $175,000, they're gone. They were vanished. And then Knoxville led the nation one month. We were the highest with an 11% increase in rent. So people that couldn't afford a house when they were 125, 175, they'd never get in a house. And I think we talked how we look at the poverty levels and how HUD sets the stuff. Back before 2020, we were all in agreement, there weren't affordable and accessible housing all in one spot to begin with. Personally, with my work with Patricia Neal, the newly injured spinal cord patients, and in the groups that we were at, the definition of accessible, they just figured if you could get in the door, it was accessible. Most of the bathrooms were, so we just brought up the common sense stuff, but if you're not out there, looking for it, I think we brought up the average Social Security disability checks like $1,479, and the average Social Security checks $1,600 or $1,700. You can't. If there's a Summit Tower, Broadway Towers, the ones that have where it's a third or whatever your social, the list of lines for those are. it's it's like a lottery ticket if you're gonna get it. So there's just not affordable, standalone, there's not enough accessible, there's not enough affordable, and you try to put the two of them together, it's like looking for a unicorn. It's crazy. Is there anything in there really besides that that didn't go over? I didn't read through it. That was basically, our main concern is affordable, accessible housing for people with, and even families. You got a single mom with an ADD child. I mean, it just, to go to work trying to find, it's crazy. You got a question?
No.
You were at the meeting, I don't want to hear nothing.
I was just gonna elucidate a little bit more. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with why Universal Design met and who they met with, members of Universal Design, as well as Catherine Moore and Matt Davis from Disability Resource Center, met with Community Solutions Collaborative, or CSC, Representative Rick Sander, who is a UCLA law professor, at the Public Works Building from 3 to 4 p.m. on Thursday, February 1st, in order to discuss how to further fair housing and equity from the perspective of the disability community. They will be developing a assessment of the City of Knoxville Furthering Fair Housing / Equity Plan as required by HUD that will identify and describe fair housing issues, including the circumstances and factors that cause, increase, contribute to, maintain, or perpetuate those fair housing issues. And once the assessment is completed, a draft equity plan will be developed, which will be open to a public comment period before the final plan is submitted to the city. Submission to the city is expected by June 3rd, 2024. And I will mention that Rick had wanted to meet back with Universal Design in about 60 days from February 1st. When this happens, all Codi members are welcome and encouraged to attend. And I'll send out more information when that's situated.
This is good. I also just want to add, Misha mentioned the equity plan. This is something concept isn't new, but the process is new. HUD has historically required cities to do what they call an affirmatively furthering fair housing plan. And so you look and see where your gaps are, where there might be pockets of discrimination or areas of folks needing education on maybe their rights as far as housing is concerned. And you compile all of that information and you share that with HUD along with your goals and what you anticipate doing to remove some of those barriers to housing. Well, during the Trump administration, HUD was basically told just put all of that, sit it aside for now. So then when the administration changed and then the Biden administration came in, they wanted to not only continue to do it, but broaden it to call it more of an equity plan. So HUD is currently updating some of its regulations and requirements, and these consultants are so cutting edge and smart that they have the regs as they are changing. They will work within our plan to ensure that our plan is probably one of the first in the nation to meet the new HUD regs. So that's why it was so important to our department and to the consultants that they had the actual ear of representatives from the disability community. And we've made that a priority in our department. So when Misha says they want to meet again, I'm anticipating it'll be a Zoom probably the next time, but fascinating information, and we're really excited to see what the outcomes are going to be because it'll give us some to-dos also.
This is Zuback. If it is an in-person meeting, I know that Rick mentioned that he won't be in town, but I don't remember the gentleman that he mentioned. Rob will be in town, and so it may be in person. If that happens, I am not opposed to setting up a Zoom and having Codi members that can't attend in person attend that way. And I also wanted to let you know on the back of this little packet that I gave you all, which was also prepared by the Universal Design Committee and given to Rick that day, that on the back there is the resolution that was approved on January 9th. So you can read more about that and also read a little bit about everything that was prepared for this meeting right here.
This is Simmons again. One other thing I thought was neat was with the city changing their zoning and their codes, which allow a duplex or things like that. There will be in the older neighborhoods, which a lot of the missing middle housing, it's in the already established neighborhoods. And I said, when I lived in Memphis, I lived in Midtown Memphis, and there was like, I call it the old Georgia the old houses, just big. Anyway, they were sectioned in where there was like 4 apartments instead of just one thing. But if you drive through the neighborhood, you can't tell that there's four different apartments. So they're going to be building these things to look similar to the homes that are already there, instead of just going in and you having just your standard, looks like the old motels where you just walk down the thing and go in your doors as you go however many tall. So I think that's going to help a lot, because a lot of the neighborhoods like, we don't want these eyesores and all. And it helps a lot when it's aesthetically pleasing, when it's going in. The people in the neighborhood like, because it did not affect my housing. I lived in my house for 3 years, made good money on it. I had a duplex right next to me that its house looked like mine. And then across the other, Georgia 4, what they call it 4, it was a huge house. And it had like 4 apartments in it. And you drive through the neighborhoods, and it was the same house. They just rearranged it to where four families or apartments could go in instead of just one. I think that's going to help a lot as far as it goes. I like that idea too. That the neighborhoods, they don't visually look different. They just rip out everything. I think that'll help too, as far as not getting as much pushback from the neighborhoods.
This is Barbara. As somebody that went to that meeting, I just wanted to say that it was an event where it really felt like we were listened to, and that this group really had a voice. So many times it seems like we do these subcommittee meetings, and maybe sometimes it can feel like we're spinning our wheels or whatever. And this felt like an example of something where the things that we worked toward at all of these committee meetings actually bear fruit. And so it felt really positive. And he listened, and it was a really good opportunity for people who have vested interest in this kind of housing to really have their voices heard. So I would recommend that the next time this happens, come and speak. And if these are issues that really matter to you, this is a great opportunity to be heard on those things. Any other discussion on that, on universal design? Okay, at this time it is 1:11. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and we will reconvene at 1:21. All right, let's reconvene. I've got 1:27, and we're going to start back with the January weather event update, which I believe Cook is going to do.
Anybody get any snow a couple of weeks ago?
Yes.
I got about 1/4 of an inch.
I got 10 inches.
Golly.
Oh, gosh, I got 18.
I think 9 to 10 was about
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
what we had at our house.
Seymour.
Okay, I was sitting at 10 too.
I was at 10, I got made it like here, a picture of it.
I got all I want for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was very telling when some of the folks were referring to this as no event like this since the blizzard of 1993. Who was here during the blizzard of 1993? Oh, yeah.
I was in Virginia.
So that we work together with the county, the health department, the Knoxville, East Tennessee Healthcare Coalition, police, fire, you name it. A lot of local disability agencies and all, to develop the trailer so that it's got now disability-related mobility equipment on it, so that if there's another fire or if there's a flood, if there's a reason for a group of people to be evacuated or even have a shelter in place for a while, then they can do that with the use of the equipment that we've compiled in that SAFE trailer. So members of that SAFE team are also members of the, well, we refer to it as EOC, Emergency Operations Communications. And so, or Emergency Operations Center, excuse me. So we all heard the weather folks say that Sunday to Monday, it was a long holiday weekend for Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday Monday. We all heard gonna get a dusting to maybe 2 inches or 3. So for those of us who may or may not go to the store for milk, bread, and toilet paper, when they hear about a dusting coming, we just thought, no biggie, a dusting. We'll all be out and about by Monday afternoon, no later than Tuesday. Well, then we saw what happened. So unfortunately, not everybody was as prepared as they could have been, personally prepared. So I want to stress the importance of personal emergency preparedness and planning for your individual selves, your family, in your home environment. But also, when we get these meetings, they had 8 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m., 9 p.m. meetings for days, and then it stretched to 9, 3, and 7, or we got down to 3 meetings a day, just hearing from everybody some of the worst areas of town, whether or not the city or the county was able to get their vehicles and their equipment out there to clear the roads, ambulances, dialysis folks. There was a lot of emphasis on getting individuals who are on dialysis to their appointments. Normally you have to be dialyzed 2 to 3 times a week, and you need to do that every so many days, or it will throw your body into a spin that is usually negative. And so it was important to keep folks able to keep their regular dialysis appointments. To that end, our community is blessed with a ton of people, whether they are in the business of emergency response or not. If they could help, they would help. They did help. They stood up in that gap to help. They had people, we call them QRVs. Apparently the city and the county all have some quick response vehicles. So these vehicles are the ones that would go out when dispatch heard, okay, ambulance was trying to get to this patient who maybe had a heart attack. They are stuck. They are slid off on the ditch or whatever. So a QRV had to go out and pull the ambulance out, as well as go to the home. And sometimes ambulance workers were able to get somebody on a stretcher, but couldn't get them to the ambulance because of the conditions of the driveway or whatever. So the QRV people showed up. And so it's just amazing. The people came out of the woodwork to be helpful. But it also brought to light some interesting and unique things that affect individuals with disabilities. First of all, we talked about dialysis. So that's a regular medical appointment you really must keep, if at all possible. But also, there was an individual who called me telling me that their mail hadn't run, and I didn't see the mail for a week either. So I'm sure all of us went, for several days without getting the mail delivered. But she was telling me that her husband is right now he's using a wheelchair for some treatments due to cancer, and he gets his chemo drugs through the mail, and the mail couldn't get his chemo drugs there. So if there were instances where we knew about it and we could send a QRV or one of those, as Mr. Rogers refers to as the helpers, if we could get somebody there, we would pick the medicine up. We got the food to them, whatnot. But again, it just really reiterated the fact that we all have, well, probably take at least a multivitamin a day, or maybe melatonin to help us sleep. If we have maintenance medication, it's important to kind of start thinking about, do I have enough? Do I have a 2-week supply? They say 2 weeks of preparedness for your medications or any, medical related supplies that you might need would be sufficient. But I can tell you, if you can be self-sufficient for 3 to 5 days, usually, the folks that are the first responders are going to be able to start making headway and getting to you, to get things like that. But again, we just really talked about how we need a huge informational campaign ready to go, because it may not be Snowmageddon. It could be the freak tornado that hit the apartment complex off of Lovell Road a year ago. These folks were at work or school or wherever, minding their own business, and they lost their home through no fault or warning. So it's just something that's been really brought back up to the top level of personal disaster or emergency planning in response. And then, you want to think about, I think things like candles and flashlights, if we expect a storm, and the electricity to go out, of course. But what if you had medication that had to be refrigerated and the power goes out and it's July? It's one thing if the power goes out and you can put stuff in a little cooler on your porch when it's 30 degrees. But, things like that. So, and Aquila even, I think it was last month or the month before, when she talked about winter weather and being prepared and trying to keep yourself and your family safe for that. So keeping in mind that sort of thing, we just learned a lot. Unfortunately, there were a few individuals that perished because they couldn't get help or lived alone, or a couple of hypothermia losses. And to me, that's the saddest thing in the world. Somebody lives alone, they don't have power, and they don't feel like they can tell somebody or ask for help. And they die alone because they froze to death in their own home. One of the members of this, it's a huge team, and one of them was represented by the Knoxville, we've got Forensic Center. So, and it's a Knoxville regional center. So if there's a person who dies in Anderson County, that body may very well come to the Knoxville regional, forensic center to be processed and turned back over to the family. But there were a number of domestic issues, things that you don't think about. And of course, it's funny when you are cooped up with somebody, you do have to spend more time with them, and sometimes you get along and sometimes you don't. But there were occasions where it rose to, threat of life. So I just say, if you have neighbors, and you can call them or knock on their door or visit them, please do in times like that, because it is amazing some of the stories that we heard of folks that never called 911. They just let things happen to them because they didn't feel like they had any other choice. So lots of lessons learned, and hopefully we'll do a little bit more education on whose responsibility it is when you've got a parking lot and you offer medical services or grocery services, even the mobile meals kitchen, with the many amazing volunteers that deliver these meals to individuals when the weather is nice. Some of them can still deliver meals to folks in this wicked weather, winter weather, but not all of them. So again, some of those QRBs came into play. Regular Joe Q citizens stepped up with their Jeeps and other things and said, how can I help? Where can I be most useful to you? So that was a huge eye-opening event. And if you're like me, you think, we don't really get tornadoes. I've never ever been flooded. I've never had to drive through a flooded area or feel like I had to, but we do have those issues here. So personal and familial preparedness is key.
Excellent. Anybody have questions? Well,
Just small. When you're talking about the QRV, is that a department that a person can call if they're in need of something when conditions are like that?
These are deployed through police and fire.
Okay.
So they go through the 911 dispatch
911.
system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's, I don't know that Stephanie Cook Citizen
Gotcha.
could call and say, hey, I'm out of Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Okay.
If you lived in my house and we get low in Diet Mountain Dew, somebody gonna go stove. But, yeah, I think they're just dispatched through
Okay,
emergency.
through 911.
But that doesn't mean, okay, so one example, we heard through the grapevine that one of the dialysis centers was telling their patients when they called to see, what, are you open? Am I going to be dialyzed today and stuff? We learned that one of the centers was telling everybody to call 311 or 211. Well, the dialysis group covers like 14 clinics in various counties. 311 is specific to the city of Knoxville, and 211 isn't, it's broader than that. But man, just thinking about the couple of 3 days of individuals who are expecting to go to dialysis and they can't get there, and they call the clinic and the clinic says, call this number. So 311 and 211, their phones are blowing up. Nobody can get there. There were some staff that, stayed in a hotel room downtown overnight just to be at 211, 311 at 7 a.m. To get those calls. So it's so many things that you learn through a process like this. That some individuals circled back, and we ended up actually having a meeting with local transportation providers and the dialysis clinic reps over at the health department so that we can maybe better collaborate and coordinate next time. And I think it was agreed upon that 211, 311 is not the best thing, but rather dialysis clinics, they do have information they give out to patients. This is how we operate if inclement weather, if your appointment, has to be changed, that kind of thing. So, overall, what we've learned is any educational information that's out there, we need to update it. We need to make sure that the powers that be know who the players are. So when there's another event, not if, but when there's another event, everybody knows then who their go-to is, who their person for, if it's a rescue for vehicle, is needed. If it's social services that's needed, Barbara Kelly and Misha and I and Catherine Moore and some other folks are going to be meeting to look at the social services end of things. And again, like in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, the helpers came out of the woodwork. It was just beautiful to see. But for all the helpers and those you saw get what they needed, it makes you wonder who did not get what they needed. Who might still be out there in need of something. They just don't know who to contact or where to go.
any other questions? Comments? All right, moving along, I believe Zuback is going to take us through the 40th anniversary of Codi.
All right, and you all will get to listen to me talk for quite a bit. This is Zuback. I have now looked through the 30th anniversary celebration materials to get a better idea of what Disability Services Office and Codi members will need to do to have a successful 40th anniversary event and celebration, which will be 2024, so this year. The last event occurred on Thursday, May 14th, 2015 from 4:30 until 6:30 p.m. with an expected total number of attendees ranging from 100 to 150. That event coincided with the 25th anniversary of the ADA celebration in Market Square, which included Disability Resource Center's Spirit of the ADA Awards. Catherine Moore Stephanie and I did talk to her, and she does believe that Codi could combine the 40th anniversary event with their yearly ADA celebration, which many of you all attended last year. But we have not yet discussed potential dates or locations with DRC and Catherine Moore. So I was going to have a discussion of members on when to hold this event. And later on, we'll get some ideas of what you think might be best. However, this is going to be a collaboration, more than likely, between us and Disability Resource Center or DRC. So that may be a non-issue, depending on what they already have situated on their end. So the cost of the 30th anniversary celebration event space rental of the square room and catering came to a total of just under $5,000. Additional expenses included programs, other printed materials, accommodations, and miscellaneous expenses, which totaled, again, just under $450. I did reach out to Spaces in the City to inquire about event space and catering pricing prior to us talking to Catherine Moore. And the current pricing for rental of event space of the square room, Sunday through Thursday evenings after 4, is $1,250 and requires a catering minimum of $750. So that's quite a bit higher than it was back in 2015. Monday through Friday daytime rates are $500 with catering minimum of $250, and Friday and Saturdays are $1,500 event rental and catering minimum of $3,500. So it looks more than likely that we'll probably need to do this Sunday through Thursday evening after 4 p.m. If anticipated attendees for the 2024 40th anniversary celebration are kept less than 150 people, food cost would vary from a minimum of $1,800 to around $3,600 dependent on the food choices. Those prices above don't include any janitorial fees, service personnel, or gratuities. And because of inflation since the 2015 event and increases in pricing, Codi will need to plan to obtain sponsorship at a bare minimum of $6,000. I am thinking the entire event will probably run a little bit more than that, but am hoping to keep cost down to a minimum while still having a good event. So in 2015, in addition to having several Codi members act as individual sponsors with donations of $25 to $100, we had several companies act as $100 or $500 sponsors, and we also had an anonymous $2,500 sponsor. There are different things that we're going to have to do in order to make this successful, and if you will now get out your little packet, you've got some of this, and I'll go through it, but you should have this in this first page that says 40th anniversary celebration. Behind it, you will see the 2015 program that was created. Behind that, the chamber article for 2015. Behind that, you have not one, but 2 sponsorship forms for Codi. And that way, if you need to, you can make copies. I would ask that you please do this in color so that not only does it get the little excerpt in red at the bottom that was approved by law back in 2015, but it also gets our logo in full color. And then behind that, you have a printout of the presentation that was run on loop during the event. And these will help us as we go forward to hopefully take a little bit of the weight off of creating brand new stuff. Why create brand new and reinvent the wheel when we can utilize what we've already got as a layout and template and add to that. So for planning and organization, we're going to need to discuss event logistics, which would be location, catering, public transportation dependent on where the location is, parking near that area, the structure of the event. So that is going to include a contact list upon entry. The contact list, we will need someone to man or woman that table. And what we would want to do is get updated contact information, email, things of that nature. Refreshments, either from entry time to 15 after or just after keynote. That is something that we'll want to discuss. Potentially have a keynote speaker from 15 to 30 to 45 after, additional refreshments and mingling, and then hopefully some of our sponsorship will be door prizes, and I would like to see that done 15 minutes before the close of the event to encourage those that have come to stay throughout the entirety of it in order to hopefully win one of many amazing door prizes that were donated. So for marketing, things that will need to be accomplished, we're going to need to look at press releases and have City of Knoxville release a media advisory. Talk to Knoxville Community Media for the recording and airing of partial event, which would be the speakers, not necessarily the eating or the mingling. Talk to them about the potential of having them put together brief highlights of past meetings and such. And then also the potential of having them tape and put together remarks from past mayors or others that cannot attend in person. Part of this marketing should be news outlets, potentially radio if we can get some free on air, and that seems like a good idea. Different disability organizations that can help disseminate this information, as well as newsletters from the organizations that you all are in and other disability-related organizations in the area. Also potentially have WATE, WBIR, and WVLT, as long as they're willing and able, maybe do a community piece on TV, post something in the newspaper or on their website, or hopefully all three. So we will also need to secure a keynote speaker. The mayor, Mayor Kincannon, is a potential idea. We can have other ideas for keynote speakers mentioned by the members. And then we could also talk to area disability organizations that would like to share their memories and experiences since Codi was created in 1984. So the length of the keynote presentations, I'm thinking 15 to 30 minutes dependent on speakers. Talking points of that still to be determined. And of course, we would have an opportunity for everybody here and other past Codi members and those in the community to be able to share a memory or a milestone related to Codi. So the day of the event, some things that will need to happen, and pardon me while I take a sip of my tea. Some things that will need to happen is that we'll need to obtain the city seal from the City of Knoxville for the event. I did notice that the last time we were scrambling to get plants for beside the podium to kind of make that look pretty and fill that in. So I have put this on there, and special events may be able to obtain those for us. We will need to situate AV, microphone, and technical assistance for anything that we're going to be showing visually on loop, as well as make sure that we have acknowledgement of all sponsors and all donors. Some of the printables that we're going to need. We're going to need an event program. We're going to need a letter from the current mayor. If we have letters from past mayors, I think that would be amazing as well. We'll need to list the current membership, list the committees, activities, and initiatives of Codi, list the events schedule as well as sponsorship appreciation on the event program. We're going to need to create banners, posters, and invitation letters. Now, for the invitation letters, I do believe that City covered the postage for the 30th anniversary event. We will need to invite all former and current Codi members. And what I would like to do in this invitation is ask all past members for any photos that they may have That way we can include them, whether it's just printing them in color and putting them at the event in frames, or whether we include them in the presentation that's going to be going on in the background, as well as keep them in perpetuity on a drive so that we have them for other events. We will also need to invite former and current mayors, Mayor Rogero and Mayor Kincannon, and potentially other former mayors such as Mayor Victor Ash. If any of the past mayors that we invite cannot attend in person, we will ask that they submit a 3 to 5 minute video of remarks to be compiled by Knoxville Community Media and also shown during the event, during the keynote speaker portion. And then also for invitation letters, possibly have some of our Codi guests and presenters from area disability agencies. So the event sign-in and information capture sheet, I do believe it would be pertinent to have RSVP requirement so that we do have a good idea of what number to be expecting so that we can keep this cost to the minimum that we need while providing a good event. And then we would also need somebody to staff the table to capture the information so that we have that for future events, and also so that we have a sign-in sheet to turn in to City of Knoxville for the budget. We will also, as far as printables, need thank you cards for our sponsors and to have those sent out, as well as for any speakers that we have that day. So sponsorships. Monetary sponsorships, of course, are going to definitely be needed. Like I said, I would like item donations for door prizes and giveaways to take place at the end of the event. I think that would be a good way to encourage people, again, to stay for the entirety of it. And I think the longer people stay, the better the event is going to be. DSO will, I'm sure, speak to law regarding the 2015 sponsorship form and corresponding rules regarding such. I know back in 2015, City of Knoxville collected the donations on behalf of us, and then it was disseminated through community development at the time to those different budgetary entities that took the money. So sponsorships, we're also going to need to gather logos from everybody that does a business sponsorship for inclusion in the event program and marketing. I would also like to see item donation sponsors have their logos sent as well. We can reach out to City Council for potential donations, and I believe that would be Stephanie under 202 funds.
Yeah.
We will also need to reach out to our past 30th anniversary sponsors. Those were University of Tennessee, Camp Conina,
Quantity.
thank you, I can never say that word, Regions Bank, the CP Center, Autism Breakthrough, Disability Rights Tennessee, Public Supermarkets, and KAEC. So other things, there was at the 2015 event a memorial tribute for past Codi members that were no longer with us. Some of the ideas for this include LED candles. I would not recommend live candles. And I do actually have a set of these that I can loan for the event so that that wouldn't cost any money. Photos and frames. We'll set up a table so that we can commemorate them, and we do have those that had passed prior to the 2015 event. We do have those photos still available. So I would like to see that continue with any that have passed from 2015 until today. Another memorial tribute would be a poem or a quote. For the memorial, I would like to see that actually happen and be mentioned during the presentation at the very beginning, as well as to be framed and with the photos. So we will have a looping PowerPoint presentation, thank you, Aquila, on the impact of Codi on Knoxville's disability community over the last 40 years. We will gather photos, of course, from Disability Service Office. We'll gather photos from Tracy with the City of Knoxville. And then if any of you all have any photos that you would like to send from any Codi events, please go ahead and send them to me. I'll start compiling these. I would like to see a verbal presentation on the top 10 impacts Codi has had on the city of Knoxville. I don't necessarily just want to do a looping PowerPoint presentation, and I think doing top 10 impacts verbally is really going to highlight that and act as a good kind of primer to what's going on in the background with that presentation. So during the 30th anniversary, creation of a magnet was mentioned. I do not think that actually happened. Cook, correct me if I'm wrong. Nope. But I'm hoping that with item sponsorship that we can partner with somebody that can possibly create 40th anniversary t-shirts or magnets or something of such sorts to be able to give those out to some attendees or have as door prizes. So, with that being said, and this was a lot, the folder was big and it was very, very thick, and I've also been through quite a few months of Stephanie's 2015 email to try to get this situated for today. With that all being said, there are 3 different potential ad hoc committees that I would like to be, hopefully to be approved and voted on by everyone today so that we can start this ball rolling. Because this may happen as soon as the summer, it could be a little bit later, but I don't want to drop the ball on this, and I want this to be as good, if not twice as good as the 2015 event. Those ad hoc committees are the fundraising / sponsorship committee, the program / presentation committee, and the invitations / media committee. So,
I have a question.
Yes.
As well. So, you had mentioned going in with the other organization?
DRC.
Thank you, with DRC. So we would plan, do they not have their own plans that we would need to incorporate, or?
we'll be talking with them, and that's why I said the location may be up for grabs. I had already done research with spaces in the city before we talked to Catherine, and then the date of that might be up for grabs depending on what all they have situated so far. I do not think that they have a date or a location yet. And so we can still discuss that, but this will be a collaboration between the two of us, so long as everything continues to mesh well. We just got preliminary, yes, we think this will probably work to do this together. Nothing else has happened with that yet.
So we're planning just in case, and then if we can work with them, we'll adjust as needed.
Adjust as needed, yes, absolutely.
I'm with you now, thank you.
Okay, cool.
This is good, yeah. And if there is any reservation whatsoever about expanding this to be larger than just a Codi celebration of 40 years, speak now. It will not hurt anybody's feelings. We can certainly do this as a standalone. We did it 10 years ago. And we do want this to be the biggest, best recognition of access and inclusion and disability-related issues that we can make it. So if that is causing anybody any concern, please let us know, because we don't want to do something that you disagree with in philosophy or otherwise.
Yeah, this sounds like too much work.
Well, it will be work, but that's no matter who's involved. It's going to be work.
Barbara here, what's DRC's goal for that? Like, what are we partnering with, I guess is my question.
Like I said, this was very impromptu and brief. Catherine was not available at the time to talk more in depth about what all they had planned. And she's supposed to get back in touch with Disability Services, but we have not had a chance to sit down with her and talk logistics and what all we had planned. And actually, by the time we talked to her, all of this was already pretty much in the form that you see it now. And so this is something that a lot of this is things that we can do. And then there are very few things that I think are going to have to be situated between the two of us, such as the event date, the time, the location. But things like sponsorship, we can go ahead and get started on. The programs, the media, things like that, I don't think would be affected by potentially doing this together with her.
I guess my question or the concern that I have is one of just like vision for the event, like what we're trying to accomplish, and it seems like it would be difficult to try to accomplish both things in a 90-minute.
That's an excellent point. That is an excellent point.
I mean, you listed a whole bunch of things in here that you want to do, keynote speakers and 10 accomplishments of Codi and all of those kind of things, which are all sound great to me.
But I'm sure DRC would have things they would want to do as well.
True. They tend to do their Spirit of the ADA Awards at their event.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot. I agree, Barbara, with what you're saying, exactly how you stated it. To play devil's advocate, I also want to point out the amount of people that may not be as familiar with Codi that would be going to her event that would then be able to realize what an impact that Codi had. So 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I believe that if anybody would like to, that we can discuss this more and then have somebody motion for a vote to do this with or without DRC, and at that point, I'll do a roll call vote.
Well,
Mr. Simmons, John, I've been on the board over there with DRC. From our end of it, DRC will pretty much handle their Spirit Award. Joining with them wouldn't really necessarily put more on our plate, because they would handle that end of it.
Yeah, that's not my concern. My concern isn't more work, my concern is enough space. Like,
Space?
and I don't mean physical space, I don't mean physical space, I mean like stage time.
We had the ADA Spirit Awards this year at DRC. But there again, Codi, with COVID, a number of different things. The time before that, we had it at the Foundry, I believe was the.
it was the Foundry this year.
Well, maybe it was DRC, we had it the year before,
Yeah.
during the Codi ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, I don't know what was up with me that I couldn't make it at the Foundry this year. So how many people were actually at it? I was there.
Joel, you were there. I'm sitting here thinking.
I'm on Easter eggs this year, I remember, I get it out I think a lot of the people that were there, they would be double dipping, they would be coming to ours anyway, if you looked at a lot of the people that were there.
Sure.
For the events.
Well, let's not forget there's the mayor. She may want to do her own all by myself Codi shindig. So just to put all options on the table. But it's something we thought about.
We had a pretty good turnout at the Foundry, yeah.
Yeah.
We had it at DRC during the COVID, the COVID thing was just small.
Yeah. So that's July. I want to let you know that I just handed our boss today some budget requests. One of them is for city support of this effort, but we may not know we're going to get that money till towards the end of April. So we're still going to need to, once we've got some more finite details determined, still going to need to consider sponsors and the like. DRC's event is in July. Naturally, that's when the ADA was signed into law. But I don't think Codi came to existence until like October or something.
It was June 8th.
Was it June? Okay, perfect. So then, well, we wouldn't be able to do it in June because I don't see us raising the money and we won't get any new fiscal dollars before July 1. So July or after. I would just request we stay clear of October. So.
This is Spangler. Does the event have to be downtown?
I don't think that, this is Zuback, I don't think it has to be downtown, but because that's where Codi members are typically used to coming, I would recommend that we try to stay as close to downtown as possible, also because of potential public transportation. And then wherever it is should be easily accessible to everybody and have enough accessible spaces, things of that nature.
This is Spangler again. We had really good success with
Rothschild?
Rothschild, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this, Barbara, that we probably need to be in the city. what do you think? Just for, like, visuals, if nothing else.
Like downtown city?
Well, just in city limits.
Just city.
Well, Rothschild's is in the city.
Right.
Is Rothschild's in the city?
It is technically.
And
Really?
Cat goes right by there, don't they?
They used to.
Now,
Okay.
think about if we're gonna go beyond August. 'cause,
Okay.
You know,
Oh,
we're
good
doing
question.
Cat Reimagine, so yeah.
Okay.
So, doing thing about public transportation.
Okay.
One other idea that I would just toss out there is we put on things like this with Johnny and Friends a number of times. And we had really good luck with attendance and things with lunches. So instead of doing an evening where people have to give up a night, especially if you are downtown and a lot of the people are close by anyway, they come for 60 to 90 minutes. And yes, you have to condense the program a little bit, but it's very efficient. It's also a lot cheaper, it helps.
What do you think about, just an idea, what do you think about if we were able to do something, and it is more of like the lunch hour, noon to 2 or something, 11 to 1, whatever, offering an information fair of some sort, depending on where it would be held, event, have booths where various agencies can share what they are about in the disability community, senior community. Something to consider. And we don't have to make any, finite decisions today, but it's a big deal, turning 40. For those of you who haven't done it yet, you'll find out. It's a big deal, and so I think it's something worthy of celebrating. I love the idea of asking previous mayors to send in remarks or videos or show up. I think they will, and I think we've got. Gosh, if you just saw the drawers full of paper documentation of all the Codi and previous to that catch meetings and things, and I wish we had more pictures because I don't think we have near enough pictures over the years, but we can start by today adding more. We need to take pictures in our Codi shirts and a couple of pictures just for the fact that we met here all day today, things like that. But
This is Mal, and there's a group called Motley Crew, and you may be familiar with them. They meet on the first Friday of every month at Crown Plaza, and they meet and they have lunch. That might be a option as far as a venue, because the Crown Plaza, that if you wanted to do some vendor setups, you could. There's space there to do that. There's food there, and there's room for a speaker and all that. So that was just a thought. I don't know how much it is, how much they pay them at, but.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Regardless of whether we want to do this with or without someone or during the daytime, evening, whatnot, the ad hoc committees, we're still gonna need ad hoc committees to be able to separate people into certain groups, to be able to make progress on this pretty fast. And the ones that I had suggested were fundraising, sponsorship, and then program/presentation, and then invitations/media. Any discussions on those committees, whether people think we need to separate them a different way or have more or less? And if there are no comments, if somebody would make a motion.
To what?
Well, this is Villanueva, I have a question.
Yes.
So for those three, can we talk about what would go into each? Like fundraising and sponsorship makes sense to me, but like program and presentation, would that be like event logistics? Like how do we see them breaking down into each?
So fundraising and sponsorship, and this is kind of spelled out in the notes that you have there, but fundraising and sponsorship is going to be things like calling, going places, creating, I guess not the sponsorship form because we've got that, but making sure the logistics of that is kept up to date, that we're making good headway on that. kind of coordinating that between the group, DSO, and then the other members that may be getting sponsors. But it would probably, looking back on past things and the way that they've gone, it would probably pretty much be up to the fundraising sponsorship to do the bulk of the fundraising. Program presentation, that would be updating the presentation that we've got. Stephanie's holding it up right there, the one from 2015, and then helping to compile and create the program that we're going to use for 2023. And then invitations, media would be creating any of the stuff that we need for the invitations, helping to update the address list that we've got, and we do have a 2015 one, but of course it hasn't been touched in 10 years. Helping to get those all prepared to send, which would probably mean coming to DSO on a day, helping to stuff envelopes so that we can get those out. And then as far as media, getting in touch with, hopefully we have radio stations that are willing to say something on air for free, or getting in touch with whom we might know at WATE, WDLT. Cook, I see your hand up.
Communications, Kristen Farley, she'll take care of all the media contacts for us. But what I'm thinking is it wouldn't hurt to, when we get a call or a request for somebody to come and talk about this event on WUOT or IVK or a TV show, that a Codi member go. You know, we don't mind to go with you, or one of us could go with you, but that would be, I think, impactful, having an actual Codi member speak to why you should join us, why you should learn about what this body has been able to do over the course of 40 years in the city.
A community interest piece would be amazing. And then if they want to come and do excerpts during the event, I think that would be fantastic as well.
You got it.
Regarding the committees, my only question would be, does there need to be another one that's essentially like,
Yes.
like
Logistics.
logistics?
Yes.
Planning and logistics.
and day of event.
Yeah, which I kind of think is
Yeah,
execution.
that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so the execution committee.
I'd like to be a part of that.
Sometimes the name fits.
So logistics
Yeah.
Yeah.
then.
And day of, whatever you want to call it.
Event planning, maybe?
Yeah, the party planning committee.
I'm there going.
The folks that make the decisions about the caterer and the,
Yeah.
the tablecloth covers and.
Right down my alley.
Yeah,
So let
those
me,
kind of things.
and I think that that's a good idea. Let me put it to you all this way. If we just have the people in this room that are agreeing to these and signing up for them, that would put 3 members per different committee if we had 4. Do you think that is enough for you all to have what you need in order to get this ball rolling?
I would say we do, because we also have the members that aren't here currently that we can add to those.
Okay.
Ziegler?
Yes, Ziegler here. So
Ziegler.
for program and presentation, I'm not going to agree to do all the work, but I do have a graphic design background, so I am okay doing the program for us. If somebody, so that doesn't need to be a larger committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 2
Thank
person.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear that we're good with fundraising / sponsorship, program / presentation, invitation / media, and execution committee. Which we'll call logistics.
Logistics. Just go with logistics. Or planning and logistics.
So does anybody want to make a motion on the ad hoc committees?
This is Spangler. Are there going to be representatives from DRC on our committees as well, or?
We have not gotten to, like I said, discuss in depth with Catherine.
That we're actually combining the event?
Yeah, and then there was back and forth on whether we wanted to do a combined event or not do a combined event, do it daytime, nighttime, fair. I've got that as another vote here in a little bit.
Okay.
But, and of course, once we get to that, if we do end up talking to Catherine and she's got amazing ideas and we have voted no, we'll come back to you and say, hey, we think that this would be good, let's take another vote. Or if we vote yes, we really want to do it, and we talk to her and it doesn't seem like it's going to work, then we'll come back and say, hey, we don't think this is going to work, and we'll take another vote at that point. But sticking with the ad hoc committees right now, the 4 that we've got, does anybody want to make a motion?
This Simmons, I'll make a motion that we use those 4 ad hoc committees.
Okay, so Simmons motions for the 4 committees. Do I have a second?
Mull.
All right. And we'll just do an all in favor, any opposed. So all in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
And this is Cook, we may be able to get more information by this time next week. It's been a flurry of, time and hitting and missing, connecting with folks, so.
I'm having dinner with Catherine and Sandy Brewer tomorrow night.
Okay.
So maybe I could get some info. I wonder if maybe we might be fishing the same ponds if we go to fundraisers and sponsorships.
We will
That would
be.
be about the only thing with the ad hoc committee that would concern me. That might not even be an issue.
So this, we'll do an interest vote rather than an official, we're gonna do it with somebody or we're gonna do it without somebody. But I would like to know kind of where we stand on doing it as a standalone Codi event versus doing it with DRC or with another entity. So I'm just gonna go around, please say with or without.
Wait, what other entity?
I'm not sure, I'm just saying in general, just in general. Stephanie mentioned possibly lunch and having a resource fair. So I'm just this is not an official vote, this is an interest.
And this is Cook, we could also toss this in a bucket for a committee to discuss. It would just need to happen in a couple weeks or so to get our minds wrapped around it.
Yeah, I would say that I don't feel like I have enough information.
Okay.
I feel like we'd be scrambling and trying, this is low, sorry. Scrambling and trying to do too many things, not sure which way we're going yet. And as Ziegler gets everything ready for one way, and then all of a sudden, oh wait,
Yeah.
we need to pivot.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna do it with DRC, which is fine. Either way, I just don't wanna waste, I work a full-time job, and I love Codi, but I don't wanna waste my time.
Yep, understood. I appreciate that. And I'm really hearing, seems like maybe it's not desired to combine the two, and I can see it going each way, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Well, I think we just got a lot of information here to digest.
Yeah.
Throwing it on top, I'm like John Kim, I don't even got a full grasp on this one, much less what it would be with DRC.
Yep.
Right.
And if somebody's got some questions or something, then I can just bring up the tags. Like I said, I don't want to beat the woman to death over dinner tomorrow night. But, she may have some very similar concerns. And then you guys obviously have a great relationship with Catherine.
Yeah,
But maybe we can have something by the time Codi meets next month.
Yeah. I love DRC. Dearly. I'm not opposed to any of it. I just don't feel like I have a clear idea of what we're talking about.
Good,
So
that's fair.
my reservation is just that. It's that I don't know, I can't visualize it. Like,
Sure.
I can't see it. And so without that second conversation with Catherine and DRC, it's tough for me to say, let's pursue something.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I'm pursuing.
I understand.
I'm already still trying to wrap my mind around how we had a 30th anniversary in 2015, how we have a 40th in 2024.
Well, because it's just when their date.
It was
84.
It was a year late.
So it wasn't my math, right?
No, it was a year late last time. It was a year late last time.
It was in my late last time?
It was a year late
It
last
was a
time.
year late.
Oh, gotcha.
That's why the math doesn't work.
1984 was inception.
So I'm gonna blow out the trash.
But some people see that, I think, I want to say, the chair at the time, I think, may have been Craig Womack, not sure.
I think it was.
But I think we had this conversation and his thought was, but we really can't have a celebration until you've passed that mark.
Yeah.
So, who knows? You know, tomatoes and tomatoes.
Exactly.
But yeah, good catch. Your math was right.
Jane, I think I would have an easier time making a decision about whether it's with another organization if we knew, whether it's going to be a casual lunchtime event, a fancier dinner time event, or a resource fair, like kind of what O'Connor did with the health fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I knew of those three, I could make a decision easier on that.
Should we do a poll for who prefers that type of event? Lunch, evening, or fair?
I'm not following the lunch, evening, or fair. Is fair gonna be breakfast? I got lunch, evening, and fair. I agree with John with the lunch. There's a lot of people that can go to their employer and go, hey, it's for a really good cause, and they get to get out of work for a little bit. Versus dinner, like, I just got off work, need to run home, get a shower. Historically, have you had more lunch? Like I said, a lot of people like to go to Boston, and we don't really want to be the ones that backs out on the folks with disabilities, do we? They get out early and get to go home versus going home, getting ready, and going back out again.
If I may, this is Barbara, this is the way my brain works, so everybody's brain works differently. Like, I would like to know like a clear vision for this thing before making decisions about what it looks like, if that makes sense. Like, what are we trying to do? And the DRC thing is a real complicating factor in that. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's the box that needs to be checked first before all of the other detail things. Once that's either clarified or rejected, then we start making decisions about like logistical things. That's just the way my brain works.
Love it.
Y'all can disagree with that.
This is Maxwell. I know I'm kind of new to Codi, but I would think of, like, if we're doing a 40-year celebration, I don't know personally if I'm gonna combine it with another center that could overshadow or whatever like that. That's what I'm thinking.
That's a good point.
Also, but I don't know the monetary part of it to combining, you know what I'm saying? So if that's the reason why we think about combining is the money part, I don't know about that. But I want to suggest too, I would think, me personally, I would separate a fair from a celebration. Maybe have a fair, springtime or something like that, or fall or whatever like that. But I wouldn't want to do that on the Sunday of a celebration. I think a celebration, to me, I'm thinking like a celebration, 40 years, even a lunch or a dinner, it doesn't matter, but that main focus on, going back in the past, thinking about what we did from 2015 to that time, or something like that. That's what's kind of in my mind, so.
This is Sue back. I agree with the fair portion. I don't think that it would matter one way or another as far as detracting from the Codi celebration to partner with somebody like DRC. But to make it a resource fair, of course, we'd have the people from the different entities that came. But that would put the focus back on them rather than on Codi. And I feel like this should celebrate Codi first and foremost. With that being said, I personally feel like an evening celebration would be better than a lunch celebration for a few reasons. First of all, if it's lunch, you will have the people that just are able to come for a half an hour because it takes them time to get there and time to get back to the office. They wouldn't be able to stay for the entire event. But more so, if we're inviting, the past Codi members, if we're going to be putting this out on media and potentially having other people in the community come, or other people from different agencies in the area come, or even, WVLT, WATE, whatnot. I think that we'll have better attendance and for longer if it's in the evening time, even if it's early evening, say 4:30 to 6:30.
Yeah, I would say these are great questions for our planning committee
Yeah.
to beat up after today.
Okay, well, with that being said, I'm gonna pass around this handy dandy little sheet that's got the 4 committees. And then please let me remind you that to sign up for the committee that you all feel is best suited to you. However, please don't have everyone sign up for, just one committee and leave all the rest of them blank. Because then we're
So
gonna
we're
be heavy on one committee.
This is Simmons, so we're shooting to do this in June, correct?
No, we don't have any
We don't have
date
a
set.
Oh, okay, I thought somebody was saying June.
No.
And you all, the bulk of, in fact, for most of the remainder of today, we can situate this. This is why I printed this out for you, so that we can go through it with a fine-tooth comb, look over it, try to throw ideas out about certain things, and hopefully have a little bit better of an idea of what we as a group would like to do going forward. Because we're gonna need to know this as we talk to, or don't talk to, Catherine from Disability Resource Center, as we start looking at trying to get some of this stuff situated. So now's the time to kind of look through it. And what I would like to do is tell you about this sheet right here that I'm gonna pass around, and then take a break for 10 minutes, if everybody's okay with that, which will give people time to use the restroom as well as to look through this. I know that I went over it with you verbally, but if you're like me, being able to look at it yourself is probably gonna be a little bit better and more easily retained. So this sheet right here, I've got everybody's names. You all have 2 sponsorship forms, and you'll see self and committee here, as well as potential sponsors. This self is not for if you're donating yourself, contrary to popular belief. If you would like to donate yourself, simply fill out a sponsorship form and send it in. I'm not gonna have that go around to where everybody can see it. Potential sponsors. Let's say you work for a specific disability-related company, or you think your company will sponsor it. List that as a potential sponsor, or any other places you think that we should reach out to. And then if you would like to reach out to them yourself, check self.
Okay.
If you would like the sponsorship committee to reach out to them, check committee.
Okay. That makes sense.
Sangler, do we have do we know what money we have to work with?
Not yet.
So when will we know that?
We are going to raise it.
We are?
So we are going to raise it.
I was
well-
just thinking it's hard to book a place when
You don't know what the,
Right. Well, we can't do anything before July 1, because we've got to get that money put in the budget. So that would give us time to start
pricing places.
sending word out, getting interest built up and things like that. Yeah. So I know, think of all the people who have gotten a disability-friendly sticker on their business. They might be interested in just donating a door prize, or, coffee mug, or gift card for lunch, or whatever. So think in those terms like that. Doesn't have to be a $1,000 gift from a sponsor. In fact, a lot of times you get $250 to $500 sponsors, and those are the ones that really add up. So we don't have the date picked. I know it can't be before July.
Okay.
I prefer it not be October, just because there's a lot of October activities. But if it, so I'm thinking August, September. So then you've got to keep in mind the weather. You want to keep in mind, you could do indoor, outdoor. There's just so much. That's why I think it's great to get it.
Shoot in August, and you have it early enough, you don't have to worry about parents with kids being picked up from school and looking for childcare and things of that nature. Well, you go to September, they're talking about maybe 4:30 or 5 o'clock. You got some people who got kids just come home from school.
Well, kids would be welcome. Yeah. We welcome all kinds of characters to our events. And you're not gonna say anything.
No, I'm just saying that's just
Yeah.
one less thing that somebody might say, you know what, depending on how old your kids are, they don't wanna come.
Yeah.
Or they're young enough, they don't have a choice. It's just one less thing to solve. If school and child care or whatever isn't in play, it's not in play.
Yeah.
It's one less thing to worry about. Like Forrest Gump said, that's just one less thing to worry about.
Yeah, but let's find out how long people want to read it. Okay, so I think that we're gonna be breaking now. Do you all think 10 minutes is long enough for you all to use the restroom, whatever you need to do on your break, and be able to read this, or do we need 15?
15.
15, all right. Then we will meet back, it's 2:35 right now, we'll meet back at 2:50.
What, reading the executive order of the mayor?
Committees, we need 3 people in order to have a committee. So I will need Barber, Lowe, Maxwell, Mull, or Spangler, one of those members to come over to Invitation and Media, so that can be an actual ad hoc committee. Do I have any volunteers?
I'll do it.
Thank you, Lowe.
You just said pick more than one, so.
Oh, Lowe, you're actually already on, you checked that you're on that.
Yeah.
Sorry about
I
that.
didn't know we were supposed to pick more than one. I thought we were supposed to pick one committee.
You're good.
Because you said pick
more than one?
what you would be willing to do. I don't want to do fundraising, so.
You can move me over.
If it was the execution committee, I would stay on that, and I'd started on 40. And then work my way down the Kingston Pike. Over to Yorktown.
We also do have a number of other members who aren't present.
Right.
That can fill those in.
I don't know about actual money, but I know a lot of restaurants and stuff have funds set aside for donations to the community if you give them enough notice. Because I've done that before, like when I worked at Breakthrough's, gone around to restaurants and got, Texas Roadhouse will donate a free dinner for 2. They've got those coupons and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You got like that, this is more Duck Dynasty.
Duck
Donuts.
Oh
my goodness.
That's a different thing.
Maybe they'll donate some money.
That is a very different thing.
They have a disability workforce initiative, and so they might be able to
Oh, interesting.
be a sponsor or something.
So on Monday, tomorrow I'll get in touch with the members that weren't present here, and I'm hoping to have a response from them by Monday. I will pester them if I don't. But hopefully on Monday or Wednesday of next week, I will send out information. I will update this in my Excel spreadsheet so that it's nice and neat and typed, and send out the information on advocacy and information, accessibility surveys 1 and 2. I will also go ahead and set up an email reminder for everyone for the advocacy and information. However, I am hoping that everybody has jotted down both that month as well as a month for your accessibility surveys 1 and 2. If everybody hasn't jotted this down for your own knowledge to make your own calendar reminder, please feel free to grab the sheet and look at it. I'll keep it there. And then I will also, when I send that out, I will send out the list of potential sponsors. And then if you reach out to somebody that you do not see on here, or think that the sponsorship committee should, please send it to me and I will update the list and keep it just as a working document. And then sponsorship committee, there are only 2 different check marks on committee reach out to for this, rather than 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, several of the self-checked for them reaching out on their own. So that will be good. That will lessen you a little bit to be able to work on things that aren't on this paper. But I'll also send this out to everyone. Along with what committees, ad hoc committees everyone is on. Right now for fundraising sponsorship, I have Jackson Kane, Nancy Carter, Joel Simmons, Jessica Villanueva. For program and presentation, I have Barber, Lowe, and Ziegler. For invitations and media, I have potentially Barber if we don't get any more takers from the absentee members, Lowe and Shimon Orr. And then for logistics, I have Maxwell, Mall, and Spangler, and then potentially Lowe. I know that you had put checks on several of them. Do not feel like you have to be on logistics. And then potentially John Barber as well, depending on if he is needed on the other one. I will send that out. I will also start an email thread for these different ad hoc committees. What I would ask for you to all please, please, please do is keep that email thread pinned or something so that we can keep everything in the same thread for as long as we need to, unless it gets really, really cluttered. That way everybody can look back through all the emails that have been sent back and forth and have it in one space. I will also create my own email folders to put any erroneous emails that come in through the ad hoc committees in that area, so that if things do get a little bit scattered, we've got those to refer back to as well. Once we get everything situated with that, I will, of course, send out probably a doodle poll to decide when everybody needs to meet and what your availability is and such. If you see something that says poll, Codi poll, please take that as soon as possible. I will also be sending one out for bylaws committee as soon as I get a chance to sort through what we were sent today versus the August 2021 bylaws and get a chance to talk to the law department. So, without further ado, we will start going back into what you all read over and see what we need to discuss today. I will say, since several of you did put on their potential sponsorships, that this portion in red is very important on the sponsorship form, and I'll just read it out loud to you real quick. By sponsoring this event, you affirm that your donation complies with Chapter 2, Article 8, Section 11 of the Knoxville Code relating to ethics and public contracting, and you assert that your donation is not intended to influence the city's selection of vendors for any future contract. And this is the important part. While the intention of sponsoring this event is appreciated, no donations will be accepted from vendors registered with the city's purchasing department. So if you know that they are a vendor registered with the city, we cannot go after them. I do not recommend it. Or if you think that they, they mentioned that they're about to go out, I would stay away from them.
Where are you reading this?
On the bottom of the sponsorship form.
Oh, okay.
This is Spangler. What does that mean in dumb folk talk?
Layman's terms.
So let's say we have Disability Services has a brand new contract with Partners Interpreting. So we will not be able to talk to them at all about any type of sponsorship.
It's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Yes. And we never want to be or appear to be double dipping, ever. Transparency always.
Do we have a list so we know who we not ask?
It is a very extensive list.
They would know.
Should be on the purchasing website, but also, think of your paving contractors, sidewalk folk, engineers, architects, planning organizations. Those are really who you're going to see big contracts with. If in doubt, you could always call us and we could see if it's not readily available on the website. We could see if the purchasing would tell us if in doubt. So it's like you come up with a list and you kind of, I got 5 here, but I don't know about 2 of them. Let us know, and we'll do our best to find out before you ask and then have to say thanks, but we can't accept this or whatever, So, and reading the chamber article that Misha gave us a copy of reminded me why it was done the way it was done when it was done. Because that's when the ADA Legacy Bus came through. DRC was doing an event at around that time anyways, because that's when the bus was coming through to Knoxville. So it made a great deal of sense to make that a dual kind of event. And so not a problem at all if you want to separate it out and do just a Codi celebration.
This is Maxwell. I just want to clarify the part where you have the door prize items from vendors. I know when we have our rodeo, we get a lot of door prizes from our vendors. We're in the same boat as you guys. So I think door prize items are separate from monetary.
They may be.
Sponsorship, I believe so.
Excellent point.
I've got it here, right above the red. And you'll see that you can check individual agency, door prize presenting company, and in honor or in memory of. That portion right above the red has an area for them to list the door prize item or items as well as the door prize value. And then below that, to either write in honor of whom or in memory of whom. And that way it will make the checkbacks with these people a little bit easier, because we're not going to have to say, oh, you checked that box. Is it in honor or is it in memory, and who is it for? So hopefully this will simplify things a little bit. The door prize value, Cook and I will have to discuss this, but I'm thinking if they donate, $100 worth of door prizes, they can be listed as a $100 agency or whatnot, but that is still to be determined. Like I said, this was a really thick folder, and I did not have a lot of time to go through it and create this 13-page pre-meeting minute before this meeting happened. And so some of this stuff, we're just gonna have to wing it and go and report back at the next meeting. As long as we get some of the bulk of this discussed and figure out kind of how we want to do this, a lot of the rest of it will fall in place afterwards, and then the details like the door prize item can be hashed out.
But I love this discussion. This is good. I love the some are for, some are against certain ideas. I love folks rolling up their sleeves and sharing their talents with us and what they're willing to do if it works out. And always know that we want your full and total honesty, because we don't live in a vacuum. Sometimes we get busy doing things, and Misha and I've hit and missed each other since Snowmageddon. We're just now trying to get uncovered from what we were working on, but prior to all of that. So this is a great discussion, and we both want this to be we want a celebration that you're proud of. You all are members. I'm not a member. We're staff. So this needs to be your event that you're proud of.
And if you all didn't help and it was left up to just me and staff, it would not go as well as it would if everybody in here contributes and makes their voice known. So looking at, this is the sheet with 40th celebration up here. I'm just gonna kind of read down and try to discuss some of this stuff. As far as, I know everybody wants a little bit more information before they try to figure out whether we should do this as a Codi only event or partner with, say, DRC. So if we did partner with DRC, it would probably be held at the time that their celebration was in July. However, if we did this on our own, I would like a discussion of members on when they think it's best to hold this event. Right now, we're in February. If we did it in July, that would be 5 months down the road. How do people feel about, July, August, September? Of course, we're staying away from October. November and December are colder months. Does anybody have any thoughts about a timeline as far as the preparing, the sponsorships, the actually holding of the event, and such? Bueller?
Yeah, this is Barbara. I mean, I would, late August into September would be what I would suggest. That gives us enough time, especially if we're not going to really know budgetary things until July at the earliest. That gives us the most flexibility, and it's still a nice time of year. And probably a Monday through Thursday, especially if it's an evening.
Anyone else?
Sounds like Barbara's got the plan. Late August, early September.
Okay, if we did hold this with DRC, any reservations about doing it as early as July?
Just doesn't feel like enough time.
Yeah, funding.
Is 30 days really buying you that much more time?
It's a good point, but the only thing that comes to mind is, organizations like United Way, who, when they hold an event, they had a year in preparation before that. It might be a little bit bigger, but still, it's just reaching out to the potential sponsors, anything like that. I just feel like we'll need some time to do that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is probably if we didn't try to do this with DRC, which of course, and we lighten the load some, possibly doing it in September rather than August to give us more than 30 days.
Sounds good to me. Even doing it with DRC, if we go to July, I don't know how it lightens our load as far as fundraising goes, really. Unless they're from their fundraising end, I don't know.
Okay.
That'd be my main concern, the fundraising, getting the monies in place in time to book the events.
Well, this is Cook. One thing to consider too, really, without a date,
Yep.
we shouldn't be sending this out.
That's correct.
Because somebody would say, oh, I'd love to sponsor this. When is it? I'll get my 5 members of my executive board to come. Well, we don't know yet. So we really need to get some of these details nailed down before we do some extra planning.
Well, Barbara, I know that you and several others had hesitations of making a decision with DRC or without DRC until getting a little bit more into this. I say that, of course, we'll probably have this all decided by at least next meeting, but we can even come back to some of this at the top when we get through the rest of it.
Here's my thing, for what it's worth. If this is a celebration of Cody's 40 years, like I can visualize what that looks like. We invite the mayor to speak. We have maybe a family that's been impacted by what Cody's done. Maybe we have a former Codi member or chair speak. We have those kinds of things, right? It makes sense. We cater the meal. I am having trouble wrapping my brain around what it looks like to do an event partnered with DRC. So when we talk about all these other things, they don't make sense to me in light of that partnership. I don't know what it looks like.
Okay.
So when I start thinking about venue and the order of events and the program, that's what I was looking for, and speakers and those kinds of things, like it doesn't make sense to me to invite Mayor Kincannon to come speak at a thing that's co-headlined by DRC.
Perfect point.
So that's why I'm struggling, because if it's just our thing, like I'm like, let's get the whiteboard out and let's go. But with this confusion about the partnership, I'm just struggling with thinking about location, because I don't know how many people DRC is going to expect, so I don't know what capacity we need to look for, things like that.
And that would affect your fundraising.
And they,
This is Cook. I kind of am getting a vibe that we don't really want to combine the two. And it's not just from John's great remarks, but the more we talk and the more we discuss, it makes sense. Because 30 years of Catch Cody is what was celebrated in that event, and it happened in the evening after the day-long events that DRC had hosted because of the bus tour coming through and everything. So just hearing all of this discussion, maybe it doesn't make sense to combine the two. DRC is going to do theirs in July. I don't feel like we can pull this off between now and July.
No.
So maybe...
and again, just to play both sides of what I'm thinking here, like maybe it makes total sense to partner with TRC. I just haven't heard what that is yet.
Sure, sure.
So if I had like a vision for what that could be, then maybe I'd go, heck yeah, let's do it. Let's go. But I can't. I wasn't there 10 years ago, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense in my head. So
Yeah.
that's it.
This is Simmons. From the fundraising end of it, I mean, when I signed up for the fundraising, I started going through a short list of people who historically I've gone to, and I can sell them. For 40 years we've had people working in the city of Knoxville. It's city, I'm muddying up some waters. So you got this, and I'm on the board, been on the board, love DRC. Nothing against them. I'm just talking about, I think I can sell. You guys have been known it for 40 years. We've had people been fighting with people with disabilities. I can go in and say, I got a whole pitch. Till my injury, my sister never noticed so many people in a wheelchair. When it reaches out and touches you, to me, that's fairly easy sell, pretty tough to say no to, whether it's going to be on $1,500 or $500. I like the idea if we're going to go 40 years in this for Codi, we just do our thing.
Okay. I'm hearing somebody create a motion, is what I'm hearing.
Me too.
I'd like to, this is Mo, I'd like to create a motion, make a motion that we pursue the Codi 40th anniversary as a standalone agency or committee versus combining two agencies together.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I'm gonna do roll call vote. Please either say aye or yes, you agree to do it without DRC, or nay, that you do not agree that we should do it without DRC. Barber. Or you can abstain.
Okay, just a clarifying question. This could be revisited a week from now.
Absolutely.
Right? Then I'll say aye.
Okay. Kane,
Aye.
Carter. Childress, I'm sorry. Lowe,
Aye.
Maxwell.
Aye.
Mall. Shiminor.
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
Spangler.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Welch. Siegler.
Aye.
And Simmons, you said nay?
Shimon. It's been a long day. Aye.
We should need some
Said aye.
Did I pronounce it wrong? Sorry.
It's been a long day.
It is real.
I've got a quick question for you guys. Were these people here that we got on the big board, were they presenting, is that where that you guys have on the
program?
For the program, you had Regions Bank, KC. Was that a certain level of donation that they
I think, no, because we had an anonymous donor for $2,500. So that person was never acknowledged, or their organization. So the others that are listed here, they gave some level of sponsorship.
So what's the presenting then? Or is that in here and I just didn't?
Yeah, presenting is like a $1,500.
That's the
I know,
amount.
but what, yeah.
Usually that just means you get your logo bigger.
Yeah.
That's
And you
what
get acknowledged
that's what I
from
feel.
Yeah, and the sponsors that are on the form, I believe, were over 500.
Yeah, our Goodwill, we do an annual breakfast thing, and if you do $1,000, you get a whole page. If you
Yep.
get a 25, you get a quarter page, if you like that. It's a good.
Okay, so we will go about the rest of this as if we're doing it solely with Codi, and then I'm sure that we will hear more information from Catherine. We will bring that back to you either at the next meeting or beforehand, just to give you all an update. And then if anybody's votes change at that point, let us know and we can back up a little bit. So it looks like probably Monday through Thursday, September is what everybody was somewhat in agreement on as far as the date and the day.
I will be out of town the second week of September.
That's the week we're gonna do it.
So we want to do anyway, Spanner.
I'm out of town.
Unless I have to.
Kidding.
Okay, so the first 2 weeks of September would be out. I will take a look, I don't know football schedules, what other events are going on, and of course, football's
You do Monday
weekend.
through Thursday. Sure.
But I'll take a look at what all is going on in the area in Knoxville the last 2 weeks of September and see what I can find out.
Misha, I love these two ladies with all my heart, but somebody's gonna miss it.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Like somebody's gonna be sick
Let me
that
tell you
I'm not missing my cruise either.
So I'm just saying, like, we might not want to wipe 2 whole weeks off
Exactly.
off the calendar.
Well, I mean, I'm going with Stacy on vacation with Kanye on our cruise, so
Absolutely.
they just didn't know they invited me yet. Okay, so other than potentially the last couple of weeks of September, Monday through Thursday, is there any preference on daytime lunch event or early evening, let's say 4:30 to 5:30 or 5 to 7?
I think you got to give people time to leave work.
Yeah. You're gonna do it in the evening, do it in the evening. At
You gotta
4:30 is almost like a late
You got to do
lunch.
6 probably, or something like that. I would think,
Back on what? What'd you say?
like 6 o'clock. Because people have to have time to leave work.
Okay, so we're thinking evening around 6 p.m.
Please,
Anybody-
somebody else talk. You make. I promise I'm not
This
making
is
all
Mo.
these decisions.
I got and I was discussing this with Misha at our break. We were thinking about if it was an evening thing, people who do have children in daycares and stuff, they gotta, by the time they get off work and get the kids at the daycare or the school, and get home and get them fed. Kids ain't gonna wait till 6 o'clock to eat. I know my grandkids don't. Maybe like, you're looking at maybe a 5:30 or 6 o'clock, maybe 6 to 8. I wouldn't go no later than that, or maybe a 5:30 to 7:30. I don't know. I think you wouldn't want to start no later than 6 and end no later than 8.
What if this is cooked? What if we did a whatever time you choose? For the first half hour, we're simply going to have information around the venue for you to touch, to talk to somebody about, to look at, to read over.
To get your food.
Grab it, yeah, and then, we could say, doors open at, keynote is at.
Yeah.
And give that half hour padding for folks to get there. I like having an end time for folks, especially if you're dependent on transportation, you've got to schedule in advance. We want to make sure those individuals get an opportunity to get the whole event in before they, get picked
So
up.
the big detail with that would be like the catering style. So if it's a plated meal,
Yes,
then the plated meal happens when the plated meal happens.
right, yeah.
Ma, how late does I've never rode with transportation. How late does transportation run?
It's about 11, doesn't it?
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
If only we had an expert in the room.
If somebody,
Hopefully we do somebody.
If only we knew a transportation expert.
I am so sorry, I was in the email,
You're in good company because it's late in the day and I'm the one calling Shannon or Simmons and calling people that aren't here. Let me back us up a little bit. Let me back us up a little bit because we're all discussing evening times. But I think the more pertinent thing to discuss is, do you all want a lunchtime event or do you all want a dinner event? And then, we can discuss times based on what you all agree there.
I'm honestly being serious.
Yeah, can we budget in like a happy hour, like a
I mean,
happy?
you can have.
City of Knoxville cannot pay for alcohol.
Let's say you can have.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
You have a bar that's not open.
Yeah.
But what if we were at a place and they had a bar on their own? You could go and get you some drinks.
So, as another state employee, no state or public institution can pay for the funds or set that up. It's a state law.
Mall, nobody is going to stop you if you go next door and have a drink and come back. But I don't think, especially if we secure an event location for this, and have, food catered and such, that we're gonna be able to make alcohol easily available for a variety of reasons.
Well, I'm out.
You can go next door with them.
Well, you just never know, I mean, where you might have it at, I mean.
And she's talking about a lunchtime event too.
I got no problem with day drinking.
We see, we know.
All right, so I know everybody probably doesn't want to stay right until 4, and it's 3:24 right now, so let's get a move on. Do you all want lunch or do you all want dinner? Do you want a daytime or an evening?
Can we revisit that when we get the rest of the groups together at the next meeting?
We can revisit that.
This is Maxwell. I was gonna say, yeah, I think revisiting that would be good because the prices from different venues could, impact our decision, daytime from nighttime.
Don't the buses run till 11 or what?
In April, that's correct. But this is Maxwell. According to where we have the event at, I possibly could do like a shuttle. So let me look into that to see if it's a shuttle back and forth or whatever. That's my sponsor from CAG. I'm just joking. But no, I can arrange a shuttle bus.
But after
But one's
April,
replacement.
the bus lines run up to 11, don't they?
I can sponsor a bus that.
Oh, so what time do they normally quit running, 9?
Oh, they quit it's according to which line it is, but most of them is at 11:15, back to the platform.
So at 8 o'clock, letouts, all buses run at that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that they really tried to come up with. I didn't think 8 o'clock was gonna be a deal breaker at all.
Now, this is Maxwell again, when I say a shuttle, like maybe from one location to the next, not this location, that location, this location.
Like a parking area.
Yeah, parking area bus, exactly.
You can't drop everybody off the house?
Can we each get a turn driving?
Nah, that wouldn't be a good idea neither.
Can we just ride?
Yeah, you can ride. Just not drive.
So
Mole's thinking of the alcohol next door. Okay, so some of the stuff such as catering and such are probably going to be dependent on whether we do daytime or evening. So we will table that for the moment. Contact list upon entry, we will need somebody to sit at that table and kind of talk to everybody. I know that Stephanie and I will probably be running around doing stuff last minute and making sure that everything's situated for that event. If I am not utilized in that way, I don't mind sitting at the table. Are there any other volunteers though to sit at that table?
What's the point of that list?
First of all, we need to get everybody to sign in so that we can present that to City of Knoxville to verify any of the attendees that listed for potential costs, and also to be able to capture updated information from them, such as their email address and such.
Because we're asking for RSVPs, right?
Yes, but if we're getting some media on this, then we may hopefully have some people that are interested, or let's say that we invite everybody at, Disability Resource Center, for lack of somebody else in my mind at the moment, and they send a staffer that we don't have information on and haven't really talked to before. So, Mole, what were you saying?
I can do that, if I'm here.
I don't care to do it either. You're just talking like a registration.
Like a check-in?
Yeah, just, a table like this, you greet people when they come in and have them, sign and fill out their information.
Two
We do
people
it all
gonna be
the
on
time.
vacation, a volunteer to run the day.
Okay,
Y'all not
so
seeing our
I'm gonna run it from
One or
Destin.
the other.
I'm gonna do my meet and greet virtual.
Villanueva, what did you have?
I was gonna ask, where does our accessibility fall in each of these? Because we're gonna need that.
yes,
So which group would be in charge of that?
of accessibility of what portions, because like with the contact list, we're gonna have to make sure that, let's say, somebody who is completely blind comes in, we're not gonna say, please fill this out, so we'll have to have somebody help them fill it out for them, in terms of, all of this needs to be accessible. So are you talking about in general, or?
Well, if that's how we do it, but that's what I mean, like making sure that we have an interpreter at the registration table or things of that nature. Like, is each subcommittee going to have their own accessibility, or is someone going to do the accessibility?
I would say in general, everybody, of course, being on Codi, should have their eyes forward on that. However, at the end of the day, it's gonna fall on us to make sure that every aspect is accessible.
This is Cook. I think tucking it under, is it logistics team? Just is another, box that keeps us aware of making sure. Because we need programs that are in accessible formats, and we want to make sure that our presentation works for everybody.
Having carts set up, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
On the date question, sorry, my brain wandered back to the date question.
Okay.
For me, like, the most important thing about this event is that the mayor comes.
Yes, exactly.
And so I would let that absolutely drive the date. Like,
And even maybe the dinner or lunch, which works better for the mayor.
we might want to find that out. Like, hey, we're looking at this time period, tell us when you're available, and then we'll work around that. Because if the mayor comes, it's a hit. If the mayor doesn't, maybe not so much. It might be.
Or we can get Taylor Swift.
Or we can get Taylor Swift. You know her.
$331 million in the NFL. Imagine what she could do with little old Cody.
So other than having the mayor as a keynote speaker, does anybody have any ideas on any potential disability advocates that live in the area that are well-known, that could do keynote speaker, or somebody else that you would recommend?
This is Spangler. I'd gotten one for KAEC. Stephanie, you remember Rue? And she spoke on the 7%. She works for VR. She was blind. I could imagine, she was a good speaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I still have her contact info, but I could maybe track it down.
Do you know her last name?
I don't remember.
She didn't have one.
She's just Rue.
Rue.
Just like me.
Share.
Can you find information on that? Email it to me.
Yes.
Okay, so
This is more, I think Stephanie Cook would be a good speaker.
Ooh.
I'm sure that we'll probably have Stephanie Cook speak at some point during it. However,
I didn't speak at the 30th.
Well, I
No,
think
you
you did
didn't.
speak at the 40th.
But the square room, if we ended up going there, that's the place that they held it the last 30th anniversary. That's why I went ahead and reached out to them, just to kind of do price comparison. They were the only people that I reached out to, and I'm not saying it has to be there. I just wanted to bring some sort of price comparison to you all so that we knew how much we had in 2015 and how much more we would probably need. But they don't have an accessible stage.
Well,
Can you go,
Or they didn't in 2015.
can you go out behind and come back in?
I got on that stage one time. It came through the alley.
Yeah.
And then they have this funky little stage lift. It was rickety and crickety, and I was nervous. I don't really care to do that again. So, but that just goes to the venue, you know, and it does, maybe it's a beautiful day if Market Square is available. We can use the open air of the square with a tent. Who knows?
And fingers crossed, they've updated it since then. I haven't asked them, I was just getting pricing from them, but fingers crossed that taught them that it's a necessity.
Yeah.
It's
Probably not.
unfortunately it's an old
Yeah,
building, and they can't do better than
All
what.
those churches that have been in there, though, you'd think.
We even had our lift taken over from the Coliseum Auditorium. You know, for graduations and things, you can roll on it, it'll bring you up 4 or 5 feet. Wouldn't go up the ramp and in the door. So we tried everything, and it just would not, you just can't get a wheelchair up there easily without hoisting. And I don't want to be hoisted. Too dangerous for me and whoever's hoisting. But
So
this has given
the
us a lot of
Foundry,
info
though,
to
the
start with.
Foundry, are they open late?
Who, the Foundry? Yeah, they do.
I mean, it was
evenings.
accessible.
Yeah.
This is Maxwell, I'm sorry. I know we're just throwing a lot of stuff out there, but we still don't know which direction we're going. So I don't know if we should get back within another week to see, I mean, because we can discuss all this stuff and timeline, but it seems like there's a lot of unanswered major questions first to be able to move on. That's how I'm just looking at it, which I do know we have to do registrations and those type of things, but, and I know, it just seems like it's out there. Everything's just, we're just doing stuff on the wall, and so I don't know what I will be able to accomplish today, because we may have to go back and redo everything again, so.
Good point.
This
is cooked, but at least everybody got to share some of their high-level concerns or questions and ideas, so that we now have something to put on the drawing board and go back to.
Yeah.
And this is Maxwell again, hopefully the next time we meet, everybody will be here, so.
Yeah.
Because there could be some stuff we decide, and then they could have something better, or, you know, so I don't want to leave their ideas out as well, too.
Good point.
Yeah, to Aquila's point, I think what we did is we figured out what the vision is. And that's the first step in all of it, which is super important. And then we have a committee of people who can help with they can research all of the venues and get pricing and do all of those things. Ask about accessibility, those kinds of things.
What is the square room?
It's right behind Cafe 4.
Oh, okay.
It's a venue right behind Cafe 4.
Gotcha.
You want to table the rest of this?
That's fine. Does anybody want to make a motion to table this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll motion to take it.
I'll second it.
That motion.
Aquila's got bullied into.
I know, I had to think on it.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
This is Cook. Who seconded?
I did.
Loaded.
Loaded, okay.
I gave the music, I was at.
I felt it.
All right. Move on. All right, so we're going to move on to announcements in public forum.
All right, so everyone, this is you back. O'Connor Senior Center is having their Pancake Fest and Senior Expo from 7 until noon on Friday, March 22nd, 2024. Tickets are available for $5 at the O'Connor Senior Center, the CAC office, or online at knoxseniors.org. I wanted to let you all know that both Cook and I were panelists at the 19th Annual Black Issues Conference on Access and Advocacy, Shaping a More Inclusive Tomorrow at UT on Saturday, February 3rd, and answered questions on advocacy and disability resources in the Knoxville community. Other panelists included Dr. Emma Bergen, who is the coordinator of the Future Program, Catherine Moore, the Executive Director of Disability Resource Center, David Najai, Director of UT Disability Services, And attendance of that event was pretty good. It seemed like there were at least 75 people. They were all pretty attentive during that event and panel. And I let everybody know that we are currently looking for new nominations. And directly after the event, I gave out several of our wallet cards to attendees that came up. I think I had 4 or 5 people come up to me and grab cards from me. And so hopefully we may hear back from some of those. I also wanted to let you know that the next in-person meeting is scheduled for May 8th, 2024. Location to be determined. However, I talked to Lowe recently, and they have finally finished renovations at Goodwill, and so we might be utilizing the space that they have available. I will let you know more once we talk a little bit more in detail about it.
What was that date again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
May 8th.
Okay, thank you.
Any other business?
No.
We do have at least one more item of business, which is we need to take a picture.
Yeah. Picture in our blue
We will
shirts.
do that after we adjourn.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to change into it, go change into it. Are you good? You good to adjourn?
Good to adjourn as long as everybody sticks around for the picture.
3:39, we are adjourned. But don't go anywhere unless you change into your shirt.